Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis Wilburn, the Active Trend Trader. Welcome to On the Radar, where we're taking a look at some swing trading setups. You want to be paying attention for the whole session today. I'll keep it short, brief when we do the analysis of the indexes, but we're going to dive into some of the stocks that have been doing really well as they've provided things like, I'll use the V word. You got to be careful because somebody will come out and censor you. But who've been providing some of the treatments for the big C that's out there. And I'm not talking about cancer. Anyway, welcome to today. We'll keep it clear and simple. We focus on helping you trade your way to wealth and financial freedom. We are going to be having a refocus on that going into 2021. You're not going to want to miss out on this. We are going to have one heck of a lot of fun in working with each other. And again, you're going to basically want to pay attention to what's going on because we're going to be giving you some wonderful opportunities coming up in the last 3 months of 2021. That'll set us up for a wonderful aspect going into 2022. So I really want people to be building wealth and also to achieve financial freedom. If that's something that interests you, hey, leave a comment down below. If you haven't joined us on YouTube yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified when we do put new stuff up. So this is the first I have been back in a while because at the first part of August, my wife and I basically came down with COVID. And fortunately, we had some proactive doctors that got us onto some off-labeled treatments that basically cleared it all up, and we're back to normal. I'm almost back to running the speeds I was running at. I don't know why. At 69 years old, you don't run that fast, but I'm almost back to basically hitting my distance speeds and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm really pleased with that. I'm very, very thankful that my wife had been doing the homework so that we had a plan about what to do just in case we were infected or came down with the C, the big C. No, it's a little c. Is the big C or little c? I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into today's session. What do we want to be taking a look at? Well, one, the S&P. S&P right now is pushing on to new highs. At the same time, though, what is it not doing? It's not making new highs with its momentum indicators. And where do we see that? The momentum's down here on the TSI. What's happening? We're actually pushing. Isn't that kind of interesting? And so what we want to do, here's where you use your TSI, your market forecast to promote what? To promote patience. And let me get if I can draw. I didn't draw that in there. Well, let's try it one more time. And so if price action does push up a little higher and the TSI pushes up and hits that, approaches that line right there, that could be a natural level of resistance for momentum that would stop it from wanting to turn higher. As you can see, we have a two-line cluster in the upside. Now, the two-line clusters on the market forecast on the daily charts in the upper reversal zone are not as meaningful as the two-line clusters or three-line clusters you get down in the lower reversal zone. Just be aware of that. So I treat them, I'm aware of them, but I don't use them to basically, weigh my trading decisions. So I basically weigh my trading positions when I'm up close to the top on, do I have one, a candlestick reversal signal? Two, where is my, where is my TSI? Now, TSI will pay attention. If I'm up close to the positive 42 line, that can give us an opportunity to jump on something to the downside. So what am I looking at right now? For right now, this uptrend line that we see there, that's been going on ever since, oh gosh, where did it start? Well, it actually started before that, but clearly back in October 2019. Am I saying that right? No, 2020, and continue up. So that's still in play. We're making a series of higher highs, higher lows. Now the question is that I have, and we'll take a look at on the NASDAQ, whether or not, where do we go from here? Now the markets are getting, looking like they're trying to get mixed. The Qs, what are the Qs doing? Well, the Qs blow this up one, and you can see what's happening. Here is the symmetric projection or extension. It would be a symmetric from here to here, measured from this swing low here, puts us up at the 100 mark, 100% mark there. Well, what's happening in between the 786 and the 100? Well, as you can see, what's happening is we're starting to get these spinning top and a little doji. What is that? That is a sign of indecision. Now, yes, price actions have pushed up. TSI has broken up. So what would I be anticipating? We are still in a strong uptrend. We are still pushing higher to new highs. I would look for on the Qs, look for a pullback towards the breakout area, which is a 370 level, or it may drive sideways until the moving averages catch up with it. And that would be another trigger to look at for the Qs. Excuse me just a second. There we go. So that's what I'm looking at on the Qs. I prefer the Qs to S&P, and I also like the IWM. Now, IWM has had a really nice rally over the last few days. As we can get this to slide all the way out to the right. There we go. It's had a really great rally over 1, 2, 3, 4 days. What has happened, though, today? See the long tails and the long upper wick on the candlestick? Well, what does that tell us? It tells us that, one, well, buyers came in here to support you and push you up higher, got back up into the level of past resistance. What happened? Sellers came in at the top to push it back down. Do we have anything on our TSI telling us that, hey, we're ready to break back down? No. Short-term momentum on the market forecast, yeah, it looks like it wants to point down. But the positive part is what? Is our longer-term momentum line on the market forecast is still pointing up very nicely. Do we have a candlestick reversal signal? No, we do not. And so what we may see is just a continuous hammering, may get up a little higher, and then drop down. Now, the momentum on the weekly charts are still pointing down, but attempting to potentially turn back up to the upside. This was a pretty nice ride. Worked out really well for an option trade, and that's one of the things I'm going to be hopefully this weekend or first part of next week. I will be posting to the Market Tech Talk, my YouTube channel. I will be posting to that a tutorial, part 2, on using the Thinkorswim on-demand feature. This time I'm going to be showing you how to practice trading options in that simulator. It's a little bit quirky, but again, it's really still good practice for trading options. So that's what I've got on the IWM. What am I looking at? One, it's extended. I would look for a pullback into the moving averages and or into the magic fib box where it found resistance and support on its way up. And this magic fib box is actually actually comes from this high to that low. And so this is the magic fib box for that move. Could I draw another one from this low to that high? Sure, I could. But if this high here is taken out, you got to redraw it. So just be aware of that. This one here can stay in effect until we take out that past high there. So that's what I got on IWM, and I've got on the NASDAQ and the S&P. I like IWM going into the last 3 months of the year, simply because it has traditionally what it does is it has a tradition of outperforming the other two indexes, and so that's something we want to be aware of, and we want to be ready to work on. So we want to be able to capture that going forward. And what do I do? There we go. Just getting everything ready for when it's time to shut up shop. So, hey, now let's move into a couple of stocks I've been looking at. I have been looking at, and I'm not going to muddy the water, but if you're looking at our potential short, hint, hint, or a put type trade, look to PayPal. And the reason I say that is, and I'll show it to you really quick, we're going to zip past this one really fast. Hanging Man at a level of resistance, strong resistance, the 15 and 34, followed by a what? A bearish engulfing. Where do I anticipate it going? Maybe back down to the 200, or maybe back down to these past lows. Would not be a surprise. And then it may kick back up to the upside. But it's at a level where TSI could turn over, because TSI tends to roll over either up or down at the lower level, minus 42, and then about halfway up, which is about minus 20, the zero line, and then above that at about plus 20, and also then the plus 42 is where it tends to want to roll over and fall. So I'd be looking at this, it could set itself up for both either a put spread, debit spread to the downside. I would take profits off if I hit 40% or 50% on a debit spread, because it may move really quick. Secondly, you could just do a put, again, taking profits off the table at somewhere about 50% of your potential profit, and then making the rest of the trade where you would put it at 10% profit, and that would be your trailing stop. Now, if it went up from there to a greater than 50%, I would still have half the position left to take off profits on that. So that's what we have there. But now let's get into something I'm finding really, really, really intriguing. You're looking for a short to the downside. Well, look no further than our buddy, FSE? No. I gotta look at it. There we go. No, that's not it. There you go. PFE, Pfizer. Now, Pfizer just, if the company that partnered with Pfizer to develop some of the COVID treatments, that company was the company that actually got the FDA approval for the vaccine that hasn't actually been manufactured yet. Interesting story, but we're not going to go there. But let's just look at the technicals on Pfizer. What the heck's it looking like? You have to remember, okay, when did, let's go back here to the 2020, and around you want to say, somewhere in the March timeframe is when everything started kicking into gear to develop the treatments. And Pfizer, during that time frame, this is good stuff to know, from low to high was basically up about 96%. Really interesting. But as a technician, I take a look at this pattern here. Now I recognize the weekly chart is not done yet. However, the weekly from last week shows me one heck of a great shooting star. So what's this telling me? Basically, it's kind of saying, hey, this, and this big run up here, that looks like an exhaustion type move on a weekly basis because it ran up hard and heavy. Why couldn't Pfizer has a lot of inertia carry around with it? Part of the noise that happened up here was because AstraZeneca or something like that, one of the drugs it has, was actually recalled and they had to take it off the shelf. So Pfizer has a lot of, basically has a lot of inertia to carry around with it, along with the positives of the preferential treatment it's been getting from the government for the treatment for COVID. So, but this is looking really, really toppy, and like it might say, let's do a pullback. And so, if I was going to do a pullback on Pfizer, let's see, would it be even worth looking at it? Well, let's go down here to the lows here. I'm on the daily chart, just to pass the recent lows. From there up to the high. That, and if we get a 50% retracement, that would take us down only a couple of bucks to 45, 42. But if we get back to the 618, that would put us down to about 43.86. Now, if things, let's say, because stock charts, now remember this because this is a setup for going into the rest of the session, stock charts tend to basically tell us a story even though we don't know the full information on the story, ahead of when the story actually breaks, before it becomes news. The old adage of buy the rumor, sell the news adage. And so you see a lot of things like that where, something's going on here with Pfizer. What it is, I don't know. But something's going along here with Pfizer that may drive it, back down. Could you get a whole, down to here? How much of a drop would it be if it fell, let's say from that high there down to the 50? Well, it'd be at about a 12% loss there, or a 12% move, 15% there. And if it gets down to the 7-8 extension returns, it's about 20%. So Pfizer. But one of the things that's real interesting back here in it, that gain, about 100% on Pfizer. What about Johnson & Johnson, which I think is J&J? One of the other big, of course I know it's J&J, one of the other big name stocks. How did it do? Again, going back to the low from, went 320, measuring back up to the high. How did Johnson & Johnson do? Well, Johnson & Johnson, well, it's about 64%. Those are awesome returns for a little bit over a year's worth of work. But, almost, what is it? About, a little bit over a year's work. So, 64%. That's awesome. I mean, if you got 64% over a year and a half, most of us would be going, yay, this is great. This is awesome. So that's the story on that. But what's happening with Johnson & Johnson? Same thing. Look at some, bearish engulfing, retest, sell off. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to dive to the bottom and go totally in the tank because, again, like Pfizer, J&J has a lot of inertia that it carries around. It's an old company, and it's got a lot of different products out there that both prop it up and also drag it down all at the same time. It's not a, what do you call it? It's not a, you wouldn't necessarily look at it as being a growth stock, right? So that's what we got for J&J. So very interesting. Now there's another one that's out there, and again, I'm going to cover all, the four basic stocks. Now this one, I neither, again, I do not own any of these, but this is Novavax. Now Novavax has a potential vaccine that they're trying to get FDA approval on, which it is more of a traditional type vaccine without all the new technology that was utilized on both the Pfizer and the Johnson Johnson and the Biointec stock company. And so, but it's still done really, really well. I mean, this made one heck of a move. We went back in December of 2019. It was down here at $33.96. It has had its fits and starts, but a good company to keep your eye on, because perhaps once it does get its FDA approval, and again, I'm just reading the charts, guys. I'm not trying to say anything political or anything like that. I'm just reading the charts. But perhaps when it receives its FDA approval and starts to actually go into full manufacturing and getting, I know there's a lot of people who are waiting for this particular treatment to become available so that they can then go ahead with their vaccines. So again, more traditional approach, and so a lot of people feel more comfortable with that. It's just the way it is. And please don't put many notes down either send me any emails or put any notes down at the bottom saying, anything political about, but the current thing is totally safe, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. Because, the thing about it is it's going to, the fact of the matter is it takes them 5 years or so to figure out, that they monitor new medical treatments. They monitor it just to make sure that, in fact, doesn't have any ill effects. And so, the question is 12 months really a long-term look at a potential drug? I don't think so. Again, that's me not thinking so. But the FDA does require longer-term reviews, and that's where a lot of the drugs then are yanked off the market, because longer-term, after 5 years, they find out, whoops, it's not working the way it was expected to work, or there's some side effects that we just can't live with anymore. So again, stay flexible and have a plan. That's one thing I learned with what my wife and I went through, is you got to have a plan. And if you have it, there's other options out there. So stay safe and stay healthy. Work on your wellness, if anything. Just work on your wellness and your immune system. So again, Novavax, something to keep your eye on. It's been flashing some pretty interesting signs. Like if you go just back to this low here, and then the high over here, it's a pretty nice move, 119% in about 3 months. So very volatile, but does pretty nice patterns. So just keep your eye on that. Now comes the fun part. Now that I was looking at, and it is primarily on. Here is Moderna. Moderna. Now, Moderna itself has been around for a while. I mean, it goes back to before 2019. I think it goes back here. And I don't know exactly how far Moderna, or maybe it has only been around for. Goes back here. I don't. Let me look at the chart. Let me look at my chart here. Now I got 20 years up there. So Moderna been around since when? Oh, that's interesting. 2018. One thing I I hone in on, if we believe technical analysis, and that basically through technical analysis, the charts tell us when things are starting to take off, or that, I'm not saying that the charts basically reveal to us when something is happening. We don't necessarily know what that something is But if it moves the momentum and there's a dramatic shift in the value of that stock, we know that whatever it was is very important. So I want to hone in right here on Moderna, this date right here. That's when we basically came out to scoop, cup the handle, and it took off from there. What date was that? Well, that date turned out to be 10/14. This is a weekly chart. 10/14/2019. From that low right there, how far has Moderna run? Well, over the last, you're gonna love this, over the last 665 days, Moderna has run up 3,576%, which is cool. I mean, that's great. You know, if you were in on that and able to to basically trade that. But all I'm saying is that it appears as if somebody knew something there. Now, but I mean, buying just kicked off. It's interesting. You may be interested. When was the first case of the Wuhan virus reported to us in the West? Well, it was right here. It was mid part of December 2019. So when was that? Well, that happens to be right. Find it. I think it's right about there. That's the first case reported. Here's where Moderna started to climb. Coincidence? Good fortune? Luck of the draw? I don't know. And hopefully somebody with a lot more smarts than me will basically take this and go, this is something worth thinking about. So that's Moderna, right? Well, what about the company that actually got the FDA approval for the vax? That would be Biointec. Now, it came public when? Oh, interesting. 10/7/2019. What week is this? Well, that turns out to be 10/14/2019. So within 2 weeks, it basically, those of you who follow IPOs, within 2 weeks, it basically pulled back a little bit. Then you could have jumped on that for about $12. That's the same low that was shown on Moderna. So let's mark that. Here's the same Moderna low. Again, whatever's going on out there, again, it's not to cast dispersion on anything. It's just to ask some questions. The timing is very interesting. Where is the okay, here around 12/16, the week of 12/16, that's when the first case was reported out of Wuhan. So interesting. So started a week before, a week before hitting its low, it basically ran up, and then about 2 months later, in December, the first case comes out. So from its low, let me get rid of this and we'll redraw that. From its low to its high, how far did it go? Same time frame. From the low there to the high here. 3,604% in 665 days. I mean, that's great. I mean, and again, I don't begrudge. I mean, I'm a trader, man. I'm not going to begrudge anybody basically getting that profit. But it does, the timing here is very interesting. That's all I'm trying to say. The timing here is very interesting. Sure, it can be explained away, but things like this don't just happen in a vacuum. And so anyway, kind of interesting. Now, what I want to do with Biointech and Moderna. Well, Moderna is still waiting for approval. Biointech has got there. They are in the process of manufacturing the vaccine. It's slightly, apparently from what I've read, it's slightly different than what is being offered out there right now. And so it's still showing, hey, any pullbacks back into the moving averages, you need to be, looking at for a potential move, or you might just say, you know what, this move is over. Now, if I drop back, let's bop over here to the weekly chart, or daily chart. The daily chart looks a little bit more healthy. It basically is doing a nice pullback into where did it pull back to? Let's take our fibs. Yes, there we go. There's our fib. And look at that, almost 50% retracement, stopped dead in the water, and now is reversing off of that. It will be a telltale sign on the stock is what happens here. Do we go on up and break on out, or do we stop, failed rally, roll back over, and fall from the sky? Since biotechs and pharmaceuticals are very news-driven, just pay attention to, and oftentimes, again, they buy the rumor, they sell the news. At the same time, they could be selling the rumor, and they may buy the news, or it may basically, I'm going to retest, and I'm going to basically roll back around and fall. Because a 3,000%, 3,600%, move in about 2 years, that's huge. I mean, that's that doesn't it's kind of like a once in a lifetime type of opportunity for a potential stock like that. So anyway, absolutely amazing, very interesting how it all links together. And again, the timing. I'm not throwing stones on the timing. But the thing about it is for technical analysts, I know for me, I have to sit there and scratch my head and go, And so as I'm sitting there, scratching my head and going, I just say, hey, it's nice to be back on the radar. If you enjoyed this session, just let me know. Again, I wasn't trying to cast any dispersion or anything like that. But again, the technical analyst in me, when I'm seeing these things, I'm going, And hopefully you do too. And stay with us over the next few weeks through the end of the year, because we are going to be basically getting set up to help you generate wealth and establish and find your financial freedom. So aloha. God bless everybody.